Hey there, it's your girl ZEESpeaks coming at you again this week with another word for the week. Now, the word for the week today is grieving. I know that can be a little dark, so we're going to try to find a way today to bring the energy up a little bit and turn that word into something that can make your life a little bit better and make it a little bit easier for you to walk through the pain of what grieving can bring in your life. Let me give you a little bit about what this is today. The word of the week with Z Speaks is a simple time that we're going to spend together where I share with you something that was given to me, dropped into my spirit, where I believe that people can benefit from. Now, grieving is one of those words, like I said before, that literally brings people's emotions out. It will drive you to a place where you can be stagnant. It can make you sad, angry, every emotion that you can think of that's on the negative side. But that's not what we're going to touch on today. What we're going to focus on today is how to take what is painful and turn it into something that's positive the best we can. So I want you to follow along with me. I appreciate you guys coming into the room and coming into the studio with me every week. I really, honestly, from a grateful heart, I'm so grateful for each of you for just supporting and coming on, because I can almost promise that if you don't hear something from me that you can use, you'll be able to share it. And y'all know one of my favorite things to say is sharing is caring. Okay, so let's get into it. When you lose a person, it leaves a void. And I'm sure some of you guys can truly understand this. Um, it leaves a hole in your heart, a hole in your mind, a hole in your life. If it's someone who you were extremely close to, who you communicated with every day, who inspired you, who motivated you, who simply had your back through it all, when they're gone, you feel like that space can't be filled anymore with anyone else. Well, what I want to do is take you through this scenario. And it's something that I've used because that's what I'm here to do, y'all, is to use life experiences to bring awareness. And if I can't just for a moment share with you something that I do in order to get myself in a position to deal with the loss of someone who's very important to me, and that's my mother. Let me take you back a little bit. The story goes, I was a 21-year-old and I was at Houston Community College, and I was in my very last year of an associate degree program, which was not a difficult program, but again, I live in Houston and I was a party girl having a great time, and I was making my way through. My parents did not pay for school. That wasn't that they didn't want to, but they couldn't necessarily afford to. So I had to work and pay my way through school. So I lived at home with my parents still, and my mother was just finishing her schooling, and because she put her schooling off to raise my brother and myself, and she was on her way to work that morning, and she came, she kissed me on my forehead like she always does. I had a final that day. It's a Monday morning. And she said to me, take your nephew to school. I had my oldest nephew to be responsible for when it was time for him to go to school and pick him up from school. And I said, okay, Mom, I got it. And she said, do well on your exam. I love you. Okay, nothing unusual, right? Well, the phone rang. After I dropped my nephew off at school, I came back home, and the phone rang, and I heard my father scream at the top of his lungs. My mother had suddenly passed away. She had a massive heart attack on the campus within the first 30 days of her working there. She was an elementary school teacher, and she taught at a little small Catholic school. And from what I understand, she called 911. When I woke up that morning, had I known the day after Mother's Day that I would have lost my mother, I don't know what I would have done differently, but I know I couldn't breathe. I could not breathe. I didn't know what to do, how to even move. And that hole started to infect me. It started to fester really early. I didn't want to eat. I wanted to just keep busy and not think about what was coming. but I just numb myself to the pain, which isn't a good thing to do. Anyone, psychologist, psychiatrist, they'll tell you that you have to process the pain. And that was how I processed it, but it wasn't the best way. A very good friend of mine, one of my dearest friends, I call her my BFF, we call each other our BFF, Sherelle, said to me, I've been here. She was 10 when she lost her mother. She said, and if you don't let this out, it is going to damage the way you look at the rest of the world and the rest of your life. You have to keep living. I heard her, but I didn't. That grief was almost unimaginable. I remember tearing up things in the house when I got angry, because anger came first. There's several stages of grief, and you have to go through them, guys. You have to. I went through that stage by being angry, and then I had to stand up, be strong, and plan her funeral. Not just here, but the funeral that was in Louisiana, because that's what she told me she wanted to be buried, in a conversation when she was completely healthy. I remember that, and I wanted to make sure that that actually still happened for her. I didn't realize, though, in the process of me doing all this, that it had to take some strength. And if you guys will give me a little time, I'll make you understand why that's so important. I'm going somewhere with this, I promise. In my process, I was strong. I tell you, I'm 21, 22 years old. My father had loved my mother since he was 16 years old. He was devastated. My brother was going through his own life situations at the time. He was her firstborn, and she loved him dearly. They were very close. He was devastated. Her sisters, she had 5 beautiful sisters. Now there's 4 of them. But the 5 of them had to live with the loss of their mother when they were very, very young. They were devastated. It was like losing a mother all over again. So I felt like I had to turn into myself. And I actually did that. So I started doing little things, and I didn't even realize how powerful and impactful that would be later on. But I started remembering things about her, how she cooked, how she moved, how she talked, how she laughed, how she handled situations, how she loved on people, how she adored her children, how she took her faith in front of everything and put her faith in front of everything, no matter what. And that was how she kept her peace. Those were the things that I was learning throughout my process. So fast forward to now, and this is where you guys come in. That pain that comes from the loss of someone in your life is going to hurt to your core. But that person is still inside of you, and they are a living, breathing spirit inside of you. That's what you have to tell yourself. And your subconscious will believe that the more you say it. Now, I'm almost 33 years in on this thing, so I'm pretty good at it. But what helped me to connect to it more so was to not say she wasn't here when Ross and Zach were born. She wasn't here when I married their father in the reverse. She wasn't here when I went through several other situations in my life where I knew she would be able to help me to get back up and be strong and deal with it. But I did, y'all. And you know why? Because I had her inside of me. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. But I promise you, that process is so worth it. You take that pain and you turn it into a promise of a greater life for yourself and for those people around you that love you. And if you are a parent and you've lost a parent, then understand that your children still need you to be that parent. Talk to them about the pain so they can understand what you're going through, so they can understand your pain. Children are little people, but they're your little people. And remember, you're molding them and you're teaching them how to deal with life. And death is a part of life. So Ross and Zach helped me. Every time I looked at those eyes, I knew I had to be strong for them. And the way to do that was to figure out how my mother in so many situations was strong for me and my brother, and even for my father. And for a lot of people in my family, if they come on to this and they see who I'm talking about, they will speak the name of Hilda as if she was a saint, because she was an angel to a lot of people. Now, I'm not necessarily as smooth around the edges and as kind and as loving and flowery as my mother. I can be. How? Because I still have her in me. And I want you to take that and run with it and think about who that person that you lost, who they are, in your heart. Keep them there. Cry when you need to. Laugh often about the things that you share, that only the two of you share. I have secrets that my mom took of me with her to the grave, but I can still giggle about them because I'm still here. You're still here. Now, I'll take this to a different place. If you lost a child, I can't even imagine the gut-wrenching pain. I watched my brother struggle with the loss of his baby boy. That baby boy who I was very fortunate to be close to. His life was so infused with my life and the life of my sons till I had to help them when I was trying to help myself to get through that pain, because I felt like I lost a child too, because he was my nephew. So this is how I deal with that. The colors that he likes, the songs that he liked. He loved to write. He loved to laugh. He loved to hug. There are so many things about his spirit that was just a light every time he walked into a room. So I pulled that in, and that's how I move forward. Now, he was just a child going into a man, and I was a grown woman, and I was able to grow still from this child, and I continue to grow because his death and that grief, because I choose not to ignore it, I choose not to make it a negative, I choose to only see it as a positive, as much as I possibly can, has made me a better me. And I know that he's smiling, and so is my mother, because I feel their presence wrapping their arms around me every time I go from one level to another level, to another level, to another level. And I'm here to tell you, you can do it too. I have no problem being open about my feelings. I love my mother with everything that's in me. Do I miss her? I absolutely do. Do I wish at times that she could be here, especially with me finding the love of my life finally, and the things that my sons have been able to accomplish, and now the things that I've been able to accomplish. I never finished that associate's degree when she was alive, but I completed that associate's degree 30 years later on her birthday. So if I don't have a reason to fly, that gave me a reason to fly. You have a reason to fly. I'm here to help you unlock that. And grief cannot hold you back from taking flight unless you let it. I'm here to say that I am living proof that when it's time for you to take flight, you're going to wiggle your way out of that cocoon, and you're going to struggle while you're in there doing it. But when you come out, it's a beautiful world out here, a world that's worth living. And those people who you lost, I'm certain that they want that for you, and I do too. Again, guys, I thank you guys for tuning in. I hope that I shared something with you that may have uplifted your spirit and made you smile, because I am the way that I am because the people that walk before me are still in me, and they help me from behind to keep pushing on. Spread them wings, y'all. Peace.
Get your subscription now at 180life.com, 180lyfe.com. You don't want to miss these up and coming entrepreneurs, inspirational stories, things that can help the whole family, from recipes to fun to inspiration. Go get your subscription now over at 180life.com.